Hi and welcome. In this week's book breakdown, we're going to be looking at George Clason's The Richest Man in Babylon. This is book 9 in my 50 book challenge, where I'll be reading 50 books this year, breaking them down, reviewing them, and sharing some of the best tips for your benefit. Let's get into it. Alright, this book is for anyone. Alright, this is The Success Secrets of the Ancients, an assured road to happiness and prosperity. If you want more happiness and more prosperity in your life, read this book. It's an awesome one. Alright, let's get into, I'm going back to the tabs here. Let's get into some of the highlights and quotes that I favored the most. So I'm going to start with the 7 main principles of the book that you should write down and apply to your life or learn more about. And we'll recap it at the end with these. But the 7 are this. Number 1, start thy purse to fattening. Number 2, control thy expenditures. Number 3, make thy gold multiply. Number 4, guard thy treasures from loss. Number 5, make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Number 6, ensure a future income. Number 7, increase thy ability to earn. So as you can notice right away, the language is more of older times. Instead of money, they're talking about gold, and they're talking about using words that are closer to biblical times. But that's all right. Once you get past that, if that's not your thing, you're gonna love all the nuggets in here. So let's start with a couple of quotes. And really, this book takes place with some very successful and wealthy people in ancient times, that people have come to them for advice, and they're sharing with them their secrets, their antidotes, the principles that they followed to make them successful, and that those wealthy people got those secrets from other people and who are successful as well. So that is truth, Kobe. Unpleasant thought though it may be, we do not wish to go on year after year living slavish lives, working, getting nowhere. Isn't that the truth? But sadly, in today's age, if you look at the amount of people who are living paycheck to paycheck, it's about 7 out of 10, if not worse. Thou makest me realize the reason why we have never found any measure of wealth. We never sought it. You always heard, be careful what you wish for. Make sure you ask. If you're not focused on becoming wealthy, if you're not asking for wealth, if you're not going above and beyond to have skills and knowledge that acquires and accumulates and keeps and protects wealth, you won't become wealthy. That's a no-brainer right there. This quote right here says, what have you to show for your earnings of the past month? What about the past year? Fool, you pay to everyone but yourself. That's a lot of people. No matter how much money we're making, typically if we're making this much, our expenses are right there with it. Oftentimes it could be more or just less, and really you want the income to be going up, the expenses to be going down. In theory, or in logically, everyone says, yeah, duh. But for some reason, as we're making more money, a lot of times, most of us increase our expenditures to that even amount. Not a good idea. Wealth, like a tree, grows from a tiny seed. The first copper you save is the seed from which your tree of wealth shall grow. The sooner you plant that seed, the sooner shall the tree grow. And the more faithfully you nourish and water the tree with consistent savings, the sooner may you bask in contentment beneath its shade. What a great analogy for the sooner you start investing and saving, the better, and the more you pile onto it, the better. And any of us who are in our 30s or people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, we're looking back and saying, wow, if I only knew, or if I only showed more discipline, where I'd be today. And those of us at our ages who have been doing that or have done that, we look and say, wow, they have their tree with shade already. Advice is one thing that is freely given away, but watch that you take only what is worth having. He who takes advice about his savings from one who is inexperienced in such matters shall pay with his savings for proving the falsity of their opinions. Be careful who you listen to about love, career, making money, and saving money. Are they doing it? Do they have the expertise? What's their track record? If it's all fitting, by all means, soak it in and use it. If not, run. So the wealthy man continued, you have learned your lessons well. You first learned to live upon less than you could earn. Next, you learned to seek advice from those who were competent through their own experiences to give it. And lastly, you have learned to make gold work for you. In a nutshell, that's what we have to do. Opportunity is a haughty goddess who wastes no time with those who are unprepared. You could be going through a dark time right now, be in a pit in your life. You could be hungry, thirsty, looking for more. But if you're not studied, if you're not open-minded, if you're not ready to have an opportunity come your way, one, you're going to miss it. You won't even see it as an opportunity. Or two, you won't take full advantage of it. Other very wealthy people have said, if you hear of a good opportunity, even if you're uncertain if you can really maximize it, say yes to it and then figure out how to make that work. Because all great things in your life usually have only come to you by you saying yes to it. Think about that. Wealth grows wherever a person exerts energy. That's obvious. What else do we have? Okay, number 1 of the 7 skills was start thy purse to fattening. Fatten your wallet, right? Fatten your bank accounts. So the wealthy person turned to, or the student turned to the wealthy person who had declared himself an egg merchant. If you select one of your baskets and put into it each morning 10 eggs, and you take out from it each evening 9 eggs, what will eventually happen? And the person said, well, it will be overflowing in time. The teacher says, why? Because each day I put in 1 more egg than I took out. So the teacher turned to the class with a smile. Does this man have a lean purse? First they looked and amused, then they laughed. Lastly, they waved their purses in jest. All right, he continued. Now I shall tell thee the first remedy I have learned to cure a lean purse. Do exactly as I have suggested to the egg merchant. For every 10 coins thou place in your purse, take out for use but 9. Okay? So deride not what I say because of its simplicity. Truth is always simple. I told thee I would tell you how I built my fortune. This was my beginning. So essentially, 10% of what you earn is yours. You have to invest 10% or more of what you earn every check. It might be hard for you in the beginning, but if you have that discipline, of course, in time, you're going to be overflowing with wealth. Now I will tell a strange truth, the reason for which I know not. When I cease to pay out more than 9/10 of my earnings, I manage to get along just as well. So the first month, 2, 3 months that you're forcing yourself to do 10% or more of your income or profits to investments and savings, it might hurt you and your budget and you can't live like you've been. But after that, it's habit and you get along just as well. So which desire you most? Is it the gratification of your desires each day? A jewel, a bit of finery, better raiment, more food, things quickly gone and forgotten? Or is it substantial belongings, gold, lands, herds, merchandise, income-bringing investments? The coins that you take from your purse bring the first. The coins that leavest within bring the latter. So this, my students, was the first cure I did discover for my lean purse, for each 10 coins I put in, to spend only 9. Okay? Number 2, the rule was control your expenditures. Okay? That what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest the contrary. That's what I was telling you earlier. It seems like even when you get raises or bigger jobs, your expenses rise with it. You gotta deny that. My expenses are always gonna stay here, or if they grow, it's gonna be a little bit, while I'm gonna be growing my income this much. Confuse not the necessary expenses with your desires. Each of you, together with your good families, have more desires than earnings can ever gratify. All people are burdened with more desires than they can gratify. Because of my wealth, thinkest thou I may gratify every desire? 'Tis a false idea. There are limits to my time. There are limits to my strength. There are limits to the distance I may travel. There are limits to what I may eat. There are limits to the zest with which I may enjoy. Study thoughtfully thy accustomed habits of living. Herein may be most often found certain accepted expenses that may wisely be reduced or eliminated. Let thy motto be 100% of appreciated value demanded for each coin spent. Budget then thy necessary expenses. Touch not the 1/10 for fattening your purse. Let this be thy great desire that is being fulfilled. Keep working with thy budget. Keep adjusting it to help thee. Make it thy first assistant in defending the fattening of your purse. Recap of number 2. Don't spend too much money. Don't get too much debt. Always invest at least 10% of your income. Keep your expenses low. You won't be a slave to anyone else. You won't have as much stress. Life will be good. Like a bright light in the dark cave, your budget shows up the leaks from the purse and enables thee to stop them and control thy expenditures for definite and gratifying purposes. This then is the second cure for a lean purse. Budget your expenses that thou mayest have coins to pay for thy necessities, to pay for the enjoyments, and to gratify thy worthwhile desires without spending more than 9/10 of your earnings. Simple, but most people aren't following it. All right, rule number 3 was make the gold or your money multiply. Let's look at some advice on that. That is what thou each one of thee desirest, an income that continues to come whether you work or you travel. That's called an income stream compared to hauling buckets of water, right? If you got paid to just haul buckets of water and each bucket you brought to the town or to people, you made more and more money, and you wanted to make more money, you would just haul more buckets. Well, eventually you're gonna get tired, or your strength has a certain capacity. But if you built a pipeline where all you did was turn on the water faucet and those people's buckets were full of water, you could have that money flowing 24/7 whether you're doing anything or not. So you gotta find a way to build that pipeline through investments and other choices that your money keeps multiplying and growing you more and more money. Number 4, guard your treasures from loss. So as you're accumulating wealth, as you've built a pipeline or an income stream, things can happen to you. Thieves, people deceiving you, trying to take advantage of you, sickness, death, accidents. So you guard it by being wise and keeping your mind sharp. And if you have people coming to you with opportunity, you gotta really research and look into it before you make a decision. But you have to have the right insurance in place that if death or sickness or a car accident or a health problem pops up, it doesn't wipe out the hundreds of thousands of dollars you've accumulated because you have to pay for it. You have the insurance in place, which is affordable and allows you to maintain your wealth. Number 5, make of your dwelling a profitable investment. So as you are getting lean on expenses and debt, as you're saving at least 1/10 of your income, you have the proper insurances in place to avoid disaster. Where are you living? Can it become an investment? Now, at the very minimal, you have a mortgage and you're paying that off over the years and you have ownership in a home. But also, can you live in a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex? Can you branch out from that? And would that make sense for who you are and what you're doing? If so, consider that as well. The sixth cure to a lean purse: ensure a future income. So the man who, because of his understanding of the laws of wealth, acquireth a growing surplus, should give thought to those future days. He should plan certain investments or provisions that may endure safely for many years, yet will be available when the time arrives, which he has so wisely anticipated. You know, essentially retirement, or in major sickness in times. And so in younger years, or when you don't have much money, you have to think about smart ways of taking on smart risks to accumulate a lot of wealth. But there's going to be a time where this accumulated wealth, some of it has to be protected or taking on not much risk anymore, so that you can live out your days on a happy budget and still have legacy money going on. And there's lots of different strategies out there that you can research or talk to people on how to do that. That's one of the many things that I do at my practice. And the seventh cure is increase your ability to earn. This day I do speak to thee, my students, of one of the most vital remedies of a lean purse. Yet I will not talk about gold yourself, but how to earn more. Preceding accomplishment must be desire. Thy desires must be strong and definite. General desires but weak longings. All right? So you have to really know what you want. You have to really want it. Keep it at your focus with writing it down often, talking about it, and planning for it. Desires have to be simple and definite. They defeat their own purpose should they be too many, too confusing, or beyond a man's training and accomplishment. So you might say, I have $0 right now. I want to have $1 million, or 5 million, or 10 million. The thought of someone going from 0 to 1 million, really tough to do. But you could say, eventually I want to be a millionaire, or by 20 years from now, or whatever it is. But my first step is going from 0 to 10,000. And then from 10,000 to 100 grand, 100 grand to 400 to 1 million, whatever it is. Incremental steps that seem feasible, and you go from lack of knowledge to get to here, and then more knowledge and effort to get to here and to there. Break those down. Therefore I urge all men to be in front of rank of progress and not stand still, lest they be left behind. So you always have to be growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. We said that a lot of times on my channel here. All right, the truth is, good luck can be enticed by accepting opportunity. Those eager to grasp opportunities for their betterment do attract the interest of the good goddess. She is ever anxious to aid those who please her. Men of action please her best. Action will lead thee forward to the successes you desire. Men of action are favored by the goddess of good luck. So this is interesting. They're talking about luck and how does it really work. And they talked about things like gambling and other things, and that it never really pays off. So here's the 5 laws of gold. Gold come gladly in increasing quantity to any person who will put by not less than 1/10 of their earnings to create an estate for his future and for his family. Gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner, who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner, who invests it under the advice of men wise in handling. Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he or she is not familiar, or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own experience, his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment. So no get rich quick, no doing illegal things, no getting crazy with your money. You have to have wisdom, seek people who have wisdom, follow proven strategies, and be disciplined. Better a little caution than a great regret, right? A couple more points here. All right, so Babylon, the ancient city in times that this book speaks of, endured century after century because it was fully protected. It could not afford to be otherwise. The walls of Babylon were an outstanding example of man's need and desire for protection. This desire is inherent in the human race. It is just as strong today as it ever was, but we have developed broader and better plans to accomplish the same purpose. In this day, behind the impregnable walls of insurance, savings accounts, and dependable investments, we can guard ourselves against the unexpected tragedies that may enter any door and seat themselves before any fireside. We cannot afford to be without adequate protection. So Babylon was the richest city in the world at that point, and people tried to break into it to get the wealth and take over, and they had the walls that kept them out. Here's some quotes here where the person says, "My debts were my enemies." You gotta look at debt as the major enemy. He also said, "Where my determination is, the way can be found." So you could be in despair and broke and nothing going your way, but if you're determined and putting action towards that determination, everything will go your way eventually. Where determination is, the way can be found is what that says. And here's a couple things talking about to those who may have overwhelming debt at the moment. There are some ancient tablets that were found of people who were in great debt, and they overcame it and become very wealthy in time. So they said 7/10 of their money would be used to provide for necessities like home and clothes and food, and a little bit extra to spend on their lives and enjoyment. All right. And then each time they would take 2/10 of their money and put towards their major debts that they were behind on. So 70% of the income towards debt, 70% towards living, 20% towards their major debts. And where did the last 10% go? You guys learned it, you guys know it, towards their future, towards their investments and savings. So to recap, I don't know if you can see that or not. See if it comes in. Doesn't look like it is. The 7 rules we need to do. Fatten your purse, right? So make more money, save more money. Control your expenditures was number 2. Number 3, have your gold multiplied. Number 4, guard your treasure from loss. Number 5, make your dwelling a profitable investment. Number 6, ensure your future income. Number 7, increase your ability to earn. And you too can become one of the richest people in the world. And with the wealth and riches, you get to choose what you want to do with it. Not all wealthy people are bad. You might have great desires of help, support, mission, not only for yourself and your family, but for others and those in need. And by all means, make it happen. The next book review I'm going to break down talks about a very wealthy person, and he took half of everything he earned and gave it or used it for good for the people he saw as most unfortunate. So until the next one, apply these principles and join me in the pursuit of greatness.